Welcome to Connect to Joy. Your host, DeChaine, is an intuitive spiritual guide for practical matters and marconic multidimensional energy practitioner. Her quest is to help you realize new possibilities, discover and release what holds you back, and enable you to manifest an inspired life filled with joy. Join us on this journey of transformation. Now, here's your host, DeChaine.
Welcome, beautiful spirits. If you're listening to this podcast because you were drawn by the title, you're probably experiencing some questioning about your life. Many people reinvent themselves. Whether you're 20 years old or 80, it's never too late to shift your life. You can reinvent all or different parts of your life. Today, I'm going to talk about what it means to reinvent your life. The 8 steps to reinvent your life. A guided visualization for clarity on your reinvention. I'm going to kind of put that in the middle of the steps. The 4 main obstacles to reinventing your life and how to overcome them. And then answering the question, will reinventing your life work for you? Let's start with, what does it mean to reinvent your life? Let me begin by asking you a couple of questions just to feel through. Do you feel stuck in a rut or bored with part or all of your life? There's no right or wrong answers to these. It's just, what's it true to you? Do you feel like you never have what you want? Or maybe you never are who you want to be? Do you feel like you've been on a certain path, and that path is either wrong or no longer serving you? Or maybe the goal of what you want is so far out of reach that you never reach it? Or, and usually this is the big one, some life-changing circumstances has happened, and you're just questioning where you go from here. Reinventing your life means to make or redo part of who you are or where you're headed, so that if you want something different in a relationship, a career, or your life in general, you change it. People all over the internet have steps to reinvent your life and how to make changes, but the following 8 steps have worked the best for me, and I've used them often. So step 1, I'm going to get right into it, is to ask yourself, where in your life do you want to reinvent yourself and make changes? Do a review of your life. What is and isn't working for you? Is it a relationship, a job, a career, where you live, maybe a habit you have, or maybe an addiction? And before you go any further, look at what is working for you, kind of a mini step in the middle here. Really appreciate those things that are working. Have gratitude and find the good in those things. Maybe your job, your boss is wonderful, but you hate the commute. Maybe the salary sucks, but you really appreciate the coworkers. So look at the good parts and be grateful for them. Perhaps you have a significant other who really shows you their love, but is never home. So you can appreciate that part that shows you their love. There may be lots of things that aren't working. So really look at those parts closely. Go into detail with yourself over why something isn't working for you. How do you feel about those things? Let me go over a couple of types of things you may be looking at, kind of as an example for you. If it's a relationship, it could be a wide variety of reasons it's not working. In a couple type of relationship, maybe you don't feel heard, or you aren't treated well in general. Or maybe you just don't get enough time with them. You don't feel important or like you're a priority. There are so many possibilities of why something may not be working. Get specific with it and see what it is. In a friendship or other type of relationships, again, you may not feel heard, respected, appreciated, or valued. And actually, those are all words you can use for a spouse as well, or some type of committed, loving relationship. You may have an issue with those things. With a job, maybe it's the commute, the salary, your coworkers, or what you're doing, because what you're doing is not challenging enough. And of course, it could be the boss. It could be any of those things. Maybe you need to change a habit, like sleeping better, eating better, maybe exercising, doing more for your health in general, maybe swearing less, stopping cigarettes or other types of drugs, or complaining all the time, or blaming other people for things that happen. Those are all habits. And they may be deep-seated habits, or they may have limiting beliefs that are connected to them. but those may be things that you're thinking of that are habits that you want to change. Perhaps it has to do with an attitude. You want to reinvent yourself because you feel that you're stuck in maybe depression, which could be clinical, so maybe you need to look into that deeper. But you might also have anger issues or guilt, sadness. Maybe you're holding on to hatred, unforgiveness, anything that makes you feel heavy and unhappy, or letting go of fear that holds you back. Those are all attitudes that you might want to adjust and maybe move out of your life if they're not working for you. You might also want to change your spiritual life. Find more friends with like minds. Meditate more. Or find a church or other gathering that fills your soul. And maybe you want to find your life purpose or your soulmate. Or you want to make a difference in the world. Those are all huge things to reinvent your life over if you don't feel that they're there for you now. Once you know what areas of your life you want to reinvent, you can move forward. Now, it's important, just because one or two things need to shift in a relationship or in a job or something, it doesn't mean you have to throw out a relationship or job completely. You might be able to just reinvent certain sections of your job or move to a different department rather than quitting your job totally or changing careers. If you change your attitude about a relationship, it may shift to make the relationship better and maybe other parts of your life. So realize that you don't need to change everything. You might want to reinvent a small section of your life, even if it's just the way you respond to people. Instead of responding in an impatient, frustrated tone of voice, maybe you find a way to do it in a way that gets better response from them because you don't like being frustrated all the time. Maybe you just do a loving thing and you just keep repeating yourself over and over again in a loving way. Maybe that will annoy them more, or maybe it will have a better result for the whole relationship and for you in general. The second step is to ask the universe for what is the best next step for you. Now that you know what you want to change and what's not working and what is working, then sit quietly or walk in nature, meditate. You can hang out and garden. You can do whatever it is that makes you quiet your mind. And then tell the universe you need something different, but be specific. Always say this or something better. So if you're asking about, for example, your job, and you say, I love my job, I like something that's like this, but I need something more. This is what I want. I want a boss that appreciates me, that values me, that will give me more money, will do whatever, promote me from inside. Whatever those things are that you want, imagine that this is what I want, and then tell the universe or something better. Because you never know what the absolute best is for you. Maybe the best is to get fired, so then you find the job that you think is wonderful. But you never would have done that on your own. The universe has a way of saying, you want that? Okay, here you go. Get out. I'm making this really bad for you momentarily. If you don't overreact in the wrong way, you're going to find immediately the job you asked for. You just don't know. You don't have to be long-winded and explain anything at depth, because God or the universe or spirit or whatever you refer to it as knows and will respond. Now, the response will probably not come immediately, but it may. You may get insights that blow you away during the quiet time, but most of the time I found that doesn't happen. It could. Be sure, though, to write everything down you need to, because so many times if you do get a response while you're in a meditation or when you're out and about and you're walking and you're quiet and you're maybe standing there looking at the beauty of a tree or animal or something out in nature, you might forget exactly what you just learned, and you had this huge epiphany, and then you go, oh man, what was that? That was like going to change my life. I have no memory of what it was. So write it down the minute you can, because it may or may not be earth-shattering, but at that moment, if it was, you need to remember it. And it's surprising how many times we go, oh my God, this is great, and you can't hold on to it. And lastly, in this particular step number 2, pay attention. Anyone and everyone, including TV commercials or a stranger on a public transit system or even a random email, can have the answers you're looking for. Don't expect the answers to come during your quiet time, but they may. Now, step 3 is once you're fairly clear on what you want to change about your life, your habits, your attitude, imagine your life being the way you want with the changes. Do a regular visualization or a guided one if you need to, and see everything the way you want it. And realize what it feels like when you have everything you want, the way you want to reinvent yourself. what that picture looks like from the outside and what it would look like if you were inside that moment. And who are you on that other side? I'm going to interrupt the steps now to take you through that guided visualization I mentioned earlier. After you've decided exactly what you want to work on and you really get it down with steps 1 and 2, then you can always come back to this part of the steps and take this guided visualization again. But I want to get you feeling what it feels like so that you know going right into it where you're headed. So go ahead and get comfortable. If you can, close your eyes and relax. And I just want you to breathe. I want you to breathe into different sections of your body so that you can relax them. First, I'd like you to breathe into your head, that head space where your brain is. Feel it filling with air, and then relaxing as you breathe out. And then breathing into your neck and your shoulders, and relaxing when you breathe out and let out any tension that's there. And then breathe into your upper torso, where your heart is, and your chest, and breathe out, feeling the relaxation just moving down into that part of your body. And then breathe into your stomach and your abdomen, and releasing it when you breathe out any tension that you're holding there. Breathing into your arms all the way down to your hands and your fingers and your fingertips, and then breathing out any tension that's in there. And breathing in to your legs, all the way down from the top of your legs down into the tips of your toes. And allow it to just relax and breathe out any tension that you may have that's remaining. And now I want you to picture a hot air balloon in your very favorite color, with a basket that you can get into with no worries about it. Even if you have fear of heights, it's no fear right now. You're totally safe. And you just look at that and you see it gently come down. And the basket actually has a door that opens for you to step into it. And you step in on your own. The door closes on the basket and it starts lifting up, and you feel totally safe and secure. And looking down now, you can see what your life looks like right now. Where are the discordant pieces in your life? Do you see people that pop up? Or maybe you see an instance if you want to stop smoking that you're smoking, or exercising when you're not really doing it. Whatever it may be that feels off, that you want to shift and reinvent, see those pieces now. And now the balloon will take you up and over to a life that you want. That reinvention of those pieces of the puzzle that aren't working until they shift into place and the balloon stops. It hovers over the area of what you want it to be like, what your life is now, what's different from before, what's working that wasn't working. And now that you look down in your balloon to that new life, how do you feel? And you notice that the balloon starts to float down to the ground. And as it gets there, the door opens again in the balloon, a little wicker door, and you step out into you in this new life. Step into you. How do you feel different? Are you calmer? More loved? More confident? Feel into this deeply. Feel it down into your soul. And allow it to imprint on you so that you can remember this feeling anytime you want to call on it. And breathe it in. Whether you feel more loved, more secure, richer, more prosperous, whatever it is that you feel it now in this new paradigm and this new reinvention of yourself. And once you really lock in that feeling, turn and step back into the balloon. The wicker door will shut behind you, and it will start to raise up. And as the balloon floats back towards your current reality, hold that feeling inside of you, knowing that you can feel this anytime you want, this new strength, this new joy, whatever it is that you felt when you stepped out into yourself in this new reality. And as the balloon floats back and lands, step out of the balloon into your current body and your current reality. And as you start breathing and getting more in sync with you, feeling your fingers and your toes, but still very relaxed, I want you to be wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Now that you're back, what did you feel when you stepped into your future vision? I want you to feel it again now. We locked it in, so you should be able to draw it in. Were you more confident? Did you feel more loved? Or were you more relaxed and more at peace? Whatever that felt like, can you find those feelings and choose to feel them now? And anytime you think about reinventing that section of your life, this is a powerful shift you can make. It costs nothing. It can really start you on your path to shifting your current reality. Really realize that who you have to be in order to have what you want. If you take those steps first and become that person you need to be, those things that you want will fall into line so much faster. Your manifestation process will be so fast compared to normal. I want to go back now into those 8 steps. We've already covered steps 1, 2, and 3. Step 1 was to ask yourself, where in your life do you want to reinvent yourself and make those changes? Step 2 was to ask the universe, what is the next best step for you with regards to those pieces of information? The third step was to visualize what you want and to really feel who you will be once you get what you want. And now the fourth step is to get organized and make a plan if you can. Now, I asked the universe what steps to take after my divorce. I didn't want to go back to the rut I was in before I got married. I mean, it was okay. I was working during the day, doing theater at night, and when I wasn't in a show and performing, sometimes I would go to classes with my church and learn a lot. I became a Reiki master. I did a lot of stuff. But I wanted to make a difference after my divorce, and I had no idea how to do it. So once I asked the universe, what should I do next? What's my highest and best good? I got a very clear message from 2 separate people who did not know each other at all, who said the same exact words to me. You should be a life coach. No, not a life coach, but something like a life coach. Those words were so exact that they imprinted themselves on me, and I didn't need any more direction when I heard that. I was like, okay, that's direction number 1. I understood it because the universe was really loud and I was paying total attention. I made a plan to look up how to become a life coach, how it works. Did I need to be certified? What schools might work for me? I signed up for an introductory phone call. I had about 5 steps figured out. 2 things I'll go into later that could have been obstacles that came up. Money and other priorities. Those are things that came up for me, but I knew a certain number of steps, and I did those steps. I'll explain how I came up with the money when I get to the obstacle section. So look at what you need to move forward. Do you need education? Can you do it online, or do you need an actual school, either online or in person? Maybe you just need to go to YouTube and learn something. Do you just need to do research? Maybe you need others to support you in your goals, so you look up groups in your area or online. If you need money, how will you get that? Can that be part of the plan? Ultimately, make the plan as fully as you can. Write out all the steps you know. Sometimes we might know steps 1 to 4 and 5, but we're missing 3, 6, and 7, and that's okay. Start towards your goal so the universe can get you going in the right direction. Once you start moving in the right direction for you, the universe will go, oops, okay, wait, you need more information. Let me throw that at you, because you've started the ball rolling and the universe goes, I'm right there with you. I'll bring you your highest and best you've asked for. Here's the information you need. But when that happens, be open to being flexible. Because other steps may show up that they've not only filled in the blanks, but you thought you might have 5 steps and there's 8. And you went, oh my goodness, there's a couple more steps in here I didn't even know I should need or know that I want. Okay, well, let me stick those in there too. So just when you're making your plan, be open to shifts and everything else, because sometimes you make the plan and your goal may shift just a little bit, so you need to adjust the plan a little bit as well. Now, step 5 is to just get moving. Put that plan into action. You can do it. Come on. Once you've made those plans and step by step, start working towards what you want. Now, if obstacles haven't come up before during this process, they probably will now. I have the 4 most common obstacles and how to deal with them coming up, as I mentioned a little earlier. Just don't be afraid to actually put your foot on the gas pedal and go. Because when I got the money to enable myself to start the classes, I signed up after just a moment of, oh my God. I asked, I received, now I have no choice. I guess I better become a life coach. So that was like, oh, well, darn. Okay, I did ask. If I don't do it, I'll probably be sorry. So, all right, fine, I'll sign up. Get moving. And step 6 is to find some support along the way. We all need someone, whether it's a friend you can talk to, a minister, a life coach like me, or a group you join. Find people who understand where you're coming from, or who love you enough to back you up and help you achieve your goals. Being able to talk through a strategy if you need to and get other ideas on how to approach a step can have a great deal of value, even if all they are is an accountability partner. So if you say you're going after a certain step on your goal, perhaps to work an hour or 2 a day on research or educating yourself, you would check in with that person or people at the end of a time frame to see if you followed through. It's like homework. If people expect you to do it, most people, not everybody, they're more likely to do it. Psychologically, you're more likely to stay on your path if you have someone to account to of your actions. Now, a mentor also falls into this category of someone to talk to. A mentor is someone who has already achieved what you want. Whether they're paid or unpaid or don't even know you're using them as a mentor can have a really big impact. Now, what I mean by that is that you can actually talk to the person to have them tell you how to go about achieving things, or at least tell you how they avoided certain obstacles, which you can pay them or have them volunteer their time to help you. Some people are very happy to have lunch with you and talk to you about it, but they won't necessarily stay with you as a mentor through everything that happens. They may say, hey, call me if you run into something you need to talk about, but you wouldn't want to call them every day. But a mentor you pay, you could do that if you wanted to. Also, you can find someone more well-known and you can read a book that they wrote, watch them on YouTube, follow them on social media. That way, they may not know they're your mentor, but they kind of are. Just don't make somebody the do-all, end-all, only way of doing something. I want you to bear that in mind. You don't want to become the person, like an alter ego. You want to learn from them. Wanting to be the person can kind of denigrate it into a stalker mentality. So be clear on what you need and want, finding someone to either emulate or to learn from. Now, step 7, as you work your way through the steps, shifting and reinventing your life, don't be so rigid that new ideas and new directions can't find their way into your plan. The universe might be giving you some wonderful options and opportunities that you might not have even thought of when you started on your reinvention. Look at what comes up. Is this something that feels even better than what you originally wanted? Well, then go for it. Add it into your plan. Maybe even move some of those other things out because this is better. If you have fears surrounding the new ideas, look at it closer. You might just need to stretch a little out of your comfort zone for it to feel okay with the new possibilities. But don't just ignore the new opportunities and options for the goals if someone else questions it. Just look at what they're saying and consider what they say. Maybe they have some valid points. It may have some value to you, whatever they tell you about why you shouldn't include this particular new idea in your plan. But maybe it doesn't. Maybe you just look at them and you go, thanks, that was good information. I'm not going to use it, but thanks. However, if it's an uncomfortable feeling or a this doesn't feel right type of feeling comes up, really pay attention. It might be that you're off your path. So really look at the new possibilities, and if you don't think you can embrace them or they feel really, really wrong, honor those feelings and continue on the path the way you want, because the next step and the last step is don't give up. Persistence pays off. Keep at it even if you have setbacks, as we do sometimes, or obstacles that come up. If you're changing the way you eat, you probably will have a setback if you eat things not on your plan. It's all right, but don't give up. Don't stop and then restart. Just understand things happen and then move forward. You might need to adjust your plan if you constantly run up against the same obstacle. Sometimes we can whittle down the obstacle until it's smaller by working on our limiting beliefs, and other times we need to find a way around the obstacle. And you can do that too. And sometimes we need help getting through the obstacle. We need to go into the deeper layers of it, which I'll talk about in a second. If for some reason you get to a spot and say, I really don't need to do that anymore, and you don't have any fear or regret about shifting that reinvention and not making those changes, then it's okay. You can let go. If you thought you wanted something and you don't anymore, maybe you've grown, maybe you've changed, or maybe you realize something about what you thought you wanted that isn't really what you wanted anymore. But before you do that, go back to that visualization exercise again. When you visualize what you thought you wanted, how do you feel this time? If you just have like a neutral, I don't think that's reinvention is what I want. Let it go. And then look at anything else that might pop up that you want to do to reinvent certain sections of your life. I want to look at 4 of the most common obstacles and how to overcome them now that we've had the 8 steps. The first obstacle that comes up is just a lack of motivation. You just got none. You might think you want to make changes, but you just don't seem to have the energy or the willpower to do it. Or maybe you go to bed at night with the thought, oh, yeah, I forgot to exercise. Or, I didn't get around to doing something I meant to do on my plan. Or, oops, that chocolate sundae was just too good to resist. A lack of motivation can be caused by any number of things. The goal not being important enough to work towards, not enough energy, too many other things on your plate, and one more thing is just too much. It just doesn't have the priority that some of the other things do in your life. Maybe not wanting to get out of your comfort zone to make the changes. Fear of failure, all kinds of things. Those are just a few of them. Can also be caused, this lack of motivation, by taking on too large of a reinvention, like doing your whole life instead of just a piece of your life. It may be too overwhelming to even start the project when that happens. If you find yourself there, shift your reinvention to just one area of your life and see if you can get started. It might be easier for you. Now, if you can figure out why you don't have the motivation, you have a really good start. But whether you can or can't figure it out, if you look what you want to reinvent about yourself, you just have to look at what you have now and what you saw in your visualization, and then ask yourself one question. Is it worth it to stay where I am, or will I be kicking myself in 5 years if I don't have what I want? Now that alone would be enough to get you moving. Because if you can't even get started, or you start and then you just sort of don't do anything after the first day or something that you've started on this grand plan, then it's time to look at your motivation if you don't move forward. The second obstacle is big. It's fear, and it can be huge. It can rule us. Not only do we get pushed out of our comfort zone, but maybe we're afraid we aren't good enough or attractive enough or have enough money to attract a person we want in a relationship. Or we think we aren't smart enough or experienced enough or maybe even educated enough to get that job promotion we want. These are really just limiting beliefs we picked up somewhere along the way. It doesn't make them any less real to us because we've given those fears a voice. Sometimes we have to talk to someone like a life coach or a therapist to discover the root of the problem, to pull them out. And even though that costs money, honestly, you're worth it. You deserve to have that reinvention if that's what you want. But sometimes we need to look at those fears' roots. We can also find answers when we pray or meditate and when we talk to friends. They can help us talk through our feelings to try to uncover the root, and maybe if they know you well, they can give you some insights. And sometimes we don't need help from outside. And sometimes we just get stuck. And everybody can use a little help from time to time, whether it's from a friend or we pay someone. Objective viewpoint. How do you know if it's fear that's the obstacle? Well, when you come up with excuses or blame other people for not taking the time to reinvent your life the way you want it, it's probably fear. We might blame a parent, a sibling, our boss, our spouse, or even the bully from when we were 8 years old, but it's fear at the base. Having fear is a normal human thing, but we don't need to live there all the time or let it hold us back. I know marconic energy work has helped me raise above that lower, denser fear frequency, and meditation and quieting the mind can help you as well. It just sometimes you need to chisel away that fear a little by little until you can get a big chunk to be gone. And sometimes just realize how much we want to change our circumstances will help us leap over the fear and make things happen anyway. The third obstacle I want to talk about is other priorities that get in our way. Other things we think we have to do can get in the way of taking the time for the reinvention. Our children, our spouse, our job, a bunch of other things, depending on what we want to reinvent. It might take a lot of time or not so much. Ask yourself, if all of the things on your schedule, do they have to be done? Or do they have to be done by you? Perhaps they're not as important as you think, or if they need to be done, maybe someone else can do them. Whether you hire a gardener or a housekeeper, or even your kids to do some of the work, or you swap jobs with someone else for something that takes less time, or maybe you share carpool with someone else instead of always doing it yourself. There's always ways to find time in your life if it's something is a priority. If you want to reinvent yourself in some way, you need to make that your priority, which may include time or money or just your attention to the matter. You need to make it more important if you want to have it done. And the fourth and final obstacle I'm going to talk about is money. If it takes money for the reinvention, and it may not, perhaps you need more education or certification that costs money, or you want to hire someone to take care of your social media if you have a business, or maybe you just want to find a better style and want to pay for a hairdresser and some new clothes. Not having the money or not be willing to spend the money it may take can be a big obstacle to getting what we want. Sometimes all we have to do is ask, though. We forget to do that. I wanted the life coaching classes, and I had just gotten divorced. So I didn't want to spend my savings on the class, and I told the universe that. I told the universe on a Friday at lunchtime when I was sitting in my car that if I was supposed to follow the promptings of the universe to be a life coach, and I also had another opportunity to show up to be an intuitive, I always knew I needed to do that. I needed money for classes for both. And I looked at, it's a number of thousands of dollars when I added everything up for all the different classes. So I did all the homework. I knew how much everything was going to cost. So I asked. That was on a Friday at lunch. On Tuesday, the next week, I got a call asking me to take on some part-time work that I would be paid for quarterly. And after I hung up the phone, I figured how much would be coming in for the year. And it basically would cover all my classes that year. And I was going to be continuing to work the following year, which would then cover all those future classes I wanted to take, including what came up later, which was the marconic energy work that I wanted to take in Cape Cod. They had lots of classes there that I wanted to take. My comfort zone just yelled at me. It was like, no, I'm not going to do it. No. And then I went, well, shoot, I guess I have to be a life coach now because I asked and the universe answered and gave me the money. And that was the only thing that was holding me back. So don't think that money cannot magically appear if you're supposed to do something. It can. Ask the universe. Have God show you the way. If it's your path, the money will show up in some maybe unusual way, weird and wacky way. Because I did not ask for that. Or if I did, it was years before, and then I gave up and didn't say anything. But it showed up exactly within Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, not very many days after I asked for it. So ask the universe, have God show you the way, and if it's your path, the money will show up. Sometimes we'll pay for something a little at a time, and sometimes the full amount will just show up and drop in your lap. You just never know. Is reinventing yourself the way to go? Yes, that's my answer. Yes, if you want something enough, if you're stuck in a rut, if you're at a crossroads in your life, or if you just know you want more, reinventing yourself may be a perfect choice for you. You don't have to reinvent your entire life. Just look at what you want to have in each area of your life and what you're grateful for. It will become obvious pretty quick where your life feels lacking to you. Whether it's a relationship, your job, your career, your home life, a habit, an emotion that doesn't serve you, your spiritual life, or another area you want to reinvent, you'll find that it's so worth it. Even if you only reinvent one tiny aspect of your life, it will still impact your entire life and all of those around you. Remember that even a tiny percent of a shift will take you down a path of major change over time. If you want that vision we talked about, it's up to you to make it happen. No one else. You have the power, and you can do it. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope that you've enjoyed this session of reinventing yourself. Remember that transformation is a journey and not an end destination. So do be kind to yourself, love yourself. Have some patience with yourself and your process, because you deserve to have that perfect and wonderful life that you desire. You just have to reinvent yourself from time to time.
Thank you for listening to Connect to Joy. If you love the show, make sure you rate, review, and share this podcast. And subscribe so you never miss an episode. Contact the host, Carol DeChaine, with questions and comments, ideas for future episodes, or if you would like to become a guest. And remember, transformation is a journey and not an end destination. So be kind to yourself, because you are already enough to have the joyful, limitless life that you desire.